Hello everyone. In these couple of questions here, I wanted to go over how to graph quadratic functions and determine how a parabola would shift according to the quadratic equation that is given. So right away, you definitely need your calculator, and hopefully you do have one. The TI-84 is your tool here that you are going to use to become successful at these questions. You really don't need to know anything but to graph on the calculator. How to graph on that calculator is very, very important. So let's get started. The first one here, how does the parabola shift when you have a quadratic equation y equals, in parentheses, x plus 4 squared? So the first thing I want to tell you is that the parent function of y equals x squared is what you are going to compare all of these quadratic functions to. So right now, you press y equals on your calculator, and you are going to graph x squared. Once you graph x squared, go ahead and you could press that graph button and you will see the parent function. If you press second function and table, you will see the coordinates for the parent function. Very important to have that. Now you have something that you can actually take a look at once you start graphing the second quadratic equation that they're going to give you right here, and this is y equals x plus 4 squared. So go back to the y equals button on your calculator, go down to y2, and then put in, with parentheses, x plus 4, close those parentheses, and then squared. All right? You could press graph, and just take a look at the red parabola. It has shifted, it has translated over one, and you can count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that makes sense because x plus 4 does mean a translation, a shift over to the left 4 on the coordinate grid. So you could see that I do have the answer down, what the parabola shifts 4 units to the left from the parent function. You could tell from my calculator on the left side of your screen that it will shift 4 to the left. And that x plus 4 inside the parenthesis, I want you to realize that that means to the left 4 on the coordinate grid. For the second question, how does the parabola shift when you have a quadratic function y equals, in parentheses, x minus 8 squared? And I'm just saying, if x plus 4 is to the left 4, what do you think x minus 8 is going to be? Where's that going to shift? Is that going to shift to the left, or is that going to shift now to the right? So let's go ahead and take our calculator and go down to the second, the y2. Clear that out. Keep the parent function in as y1. At y1 is y equals x squared. We're going to now put the x minus 8 in as the second quadratic equation that we're given. So we're going to close the parentheses, make sure it looks exactly the same, and press graph. And the first parabola that you see is the blue parabola, and that is the parent function. And then you see the red, which does shift 8 to the right. So that does shift 8 to the right. It's right there on your screen. All you have to know is how to use the calculator. That's all you have to know. And if you want to make sure, it should be that the x right here, we're going to go down and we're going to see exactly when where that shift is. All right, 8, 0. Going back to the graph, this is 8, 0 if you can't count it. just go to the table of values, and so the answer would be the parabola shifts 8 units to the right. And that would be your answer, 8 units right of the parent function. The third question, how does the parabola shift when you have a quadratic equation of y equals, in parentheses, x minus 2 squared plus 7? So this might be a little bit more difficult, but use your calculator. Clear that y2 out, go down to y2, put that in as x minus 2 squared. And we know that minus, that should move it, if you're talking about x minus 2, that should move it to the right 2. And then plus 7. So don't forget that plus 7, because that is really important. And press graph and see where that goes. That's the parent function, and there is the red parabola right here that you could barely see on your graphing calculator. But you could see it's going to go 2 to the right and basically 7 up. And you could verify that by 2 going to the x value of 2, and the red is, the y value is 7. So 2, 7 is where that vertex would be. And that is exactly what the answer would be. So this shifts 2 to the right and 7 up. 2 to the right and 7 up. Okay, so what I wanted to show you really quick about this one, you see how this red parabola is kind of like off the screen? Well, all you have to do is press window. So press window on your calculator now. You see this x min and x max? That is the horizontal axis. And I am not going to mess with that. It goes to negative 10 and 10. That's what the calculator is showing. The y min is negative 10. And the y max is 10. If I go I just want to see a little bit more of the red parabola. If I change that to 20, you see a little bit more of the red parabola. All right, so you can mess with that window anytime that you want. You could actually go to the window and get rid of the y min and just put 0 down. And once you do that, you're just going to see quadrants 1 and quadrants 2, and you know, that's how you could mess with the window to see what is on your screen. Sometimes the parabolas will be off your screen completely. So if you do press zoom and go to 6, which is zoom standard, you will go back to a 10 by 10 graph. All right, very important that you do know that. All right. Okay, so the last problem, last question, says how does the parabola shift when you have the quadratic equation y equals x plus 5 in parentheses plus 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go down and use the calculator. All right, but try to guess with me. X plus 5, which direction does that move on the x-axis, the x plus 5 squared? Does it go to the right or does it go to the left? It should go to the left, because every time that we had a x plus 4 up here, it would say 4 units to the left. The subtraction went to the right. So now this is x plus 5. That is going to the left 5. And then plus 2, where do you think that would go? Do you think that would go down 2 or up 2? All right, it should go up 2, but let's see if that is correct. My assumptions: x plus 5. All right, and you put that into your calculator. You should always check on the calculator anyway, even if you think you know it, especially on some kind of test or something like that. And there it is. So you're talking about 5 to the left and 2 up. So the parabola does shift 5 to the left. And I'll change that right here, 5 to the left because it's x plus 5. And 2 up because of the plus 2. And that is how you go about looking at the shifts and the translations, telling where that parabola, that quadratic equation will put that parabola, and everything is focused on that parent function to start. And that's why every time, you notice, every single time I put that, I left that y equals down as the x squared because that is the parent function. Right? Leave that in there and just work with the y2, and that's about it. All right? See you next time. Thanks for watching.